You may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Astrolabe. We're live. I saw some confusion that I was not live yesterday. People thought I missed a lab. No, yesterday was Wednesday. On Wednesday, we have no lab, except for when we do. And those are the rules. How are you guys doing, everyone? Let me know. Drop something in the chat there, and let me make sure that the little chat widget is still working. It was working before I went live, so there's no reason that it would stop working. But you know, these are the sorts of things that happen. And I see Stray Buster just said something in the chat, and it did not activate it. So hold on a second. Let's do this. Let's try that. See if it works. Yeah, I do have it visible. So yeah, throw something in the chat, and let's see if it shows up on the screen. And if it doesn't, then I guess I'm just going to be talking to the black when it happens. Yeah, man, it's not happening. Why is that? Why is that, I wonder? I don't know why that would be. Let's try this. There's one other thing that I can try. I can do this. There. Now, we'll see if possibly it'll work. Nope. Am I just going to be talking to the blacks today? I guess that's how it is. I just will not be displaying your chat on screen. What a shame. Sorry, guys. We are streaming again on YouTube, so let the people know out there. I tweeted it out. You can go retweet the tweet. Reminder, t.me/telegram, or t.me/kingpilled. If you would like to follow the Telegram channel so you can get alerts for when I go live. I know that the alert systems tend to be less than reliable, so that one should be reliable as long as you don't mute it. I will always do it. This is going to bug me. Because I sat here fucking working on stuff for hours, and it was working just fine the entire time I was working on it. And here we go, just right before it was even working in the pre-show. Why would it not work now? This is so strange. Well, I did get a little toy here. I guess they put the label over it. Maybe I won't show my address on screen. But got a little... maybe it won't show anything on screen. Yeah, it's going to block it out. Got a little Stream Deck here. So I'm working with the keyboard commands right now, but I'm going to get it didn't come in time this morning for me to be able to incorporate it into what's going on today, but I will hopefully get it added. And one update, one thing I did get added is the custom alerts for the $14.88 tips, $14.88 sent through tips.kingpill.com, and the $88 tips. Those ones should be working. I got those. I tested them extensively to make sure that they would work. So I haven't gotten the other ones in. But speaking of tips, let's test this now. It's Dave, the gayest Dave. He said won't be able to listen live today, so have a banger lab so I can be part of the replay gang later. $100 from Dave, an alpha male alert. I don't have an alpha male alert to play for you, so I am just going to give you one of these. Oh, you know what? I just realized that the soundboard isn't working either. So I can't even give you something on the soundboard. I don't know what to do for you. Well, in Dave's case, I can give him one of these.
You know, Dave Johnson is the gayest person to ever walk this green earth.
Here is the biggest, gayest man in the world.
Wow.
So gay. So gay.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for the $100. Hopefully, you'll get your you'll get some fun little alert for that here very soon. As you guys notice, the tip goal has begun. Dave has gotten us started here. The pink bar is wrapping around the outside, so please do contribute to that. Every single financial way that you can engage with the stream should add to that. So kicks and gifted subs on Kick and gifted memberships and super chats and super stickers over on YouTube. Or if you want to get it straight directly to me, deposited in my bank account within a couple of days, then go to tips.kingpill.com, send something through that. And like I said, $14.88 exactly and $88 exactly, US dollars for both of them, should actually play a little something fun for us. I'm skeptical now because the chat box, which has worked just fine, that's the first thing that worked. That suddenly isn't working. So I don't know. We'll see. This will be an adventure as we go. What are we talking about today? Trump. Trump is combating the POO menace. Thank you, Mr. President. I've got a number of things related to the POO menace today, and then also disparate impact. We got I guess what would you call it? Like a letter, a statement of policy position from the Department of Justice saying that they believe that disparate impact, in other words, like DEI for hiring, is unconstitutional. There's a lot of people that want to say that like nothing's happening or nothing good's happening or it's all kind of boring, but things keep rolling out. I know I haven't done the lab for like a week and a half consistently, but there are things constantly rolling out. Everyone wants to stare at the thing of the day and track whatever's happening with the thing of the day, but there are lots of things that are not the thing of the day that are happening, that are sliding under the news cycle. So we're going to talk about some of those here today, and then last episode I was talking about what kind of American are you? We talked about race and ethnicity a little bit, and I had queued up at the time this a couple of articles. First one here was written by Adrian Vermeule. He says, a link to my attempt by means of a classical legal metaphor to explain how to integrate both the heritage view and the creedal view, that is, of citizenship. So there you have like the heritage American view, and then you have the propositional nation creedal view. And obviously I'm very much more aligned with the heritage view. There are aspects of the creedal view that I think are worth keeping around, are worth value, or they're valuable. They have value to them. They just can't be the whole thing. So he's got an interesting write-up on here where he tries to link the two of them together. And then another one I had was something from the American Mind. America's founders viewed our country as a republican empire of liberty, limited in constitutional scope and political geography. Thank you, Emperor Atreides. That's working. Excellent. Ben Crenshaw shows how our founders affirmed that joining our empire required virtue and a shared aim. There's I think, speaking from my own experience prior to recently, I just kind of thought of empires as empires. I didn't really think of empires as having their own personality and values and manifestation. And so, thank you, Pale Morning Dude. Late but made it. Yes, you did. But once you start thinking about how, well, that's not supposed to do that. Well, you guys just got a little sneak preview about what happens when it passes the goal. That was definitely not passing the goal. I see what it did. It took the something else didn't work. It took the 500 kicks and interpreted it as $500. Hold on, let me fix that. That's an easy one. I have a little thing in there to that's supposed to interpret that, but apparently it didn't work. So this should be. Something doesn't seem right here. What was that? That was. I see. Because it did the thing with the other kick. So 550. So yeah, should just be $102. $100 and where is that other one? $105.50. So $106. There we go. All right. I have a little thing though that's supposed to translate that so that the kicks are treated as the actual dollar value of the kicks, but it apparently is bypassing that and instead of interpreting it as $5 or $2 or whatever, it's supposed to be one kick for 1 cent. Anyways, so what was I saying? Oh, the character and personality of empires. They're the United States empire. Part of my thesis here is the U.S. empire has yet to begin, or not yet to begin, but it's on its way up. It's on its way up, and it's early in that cycle. And the consensus opinion, I think, is that it's on the way down. And I think this is one of those pills that once you take the U.S. empire pill, whatever you want to call it. Once you take that pill and you start framing things through the understanding of the U.S. as an empire is emerging, and it's going to have its own distinct, uniquely American set of characteristics, personality, values, manifestation. I think that's one of those things that, at least for me, once I started thinking in those terms, then it frames everything in a whole new light. So. This article from American Mind is kind of interesting. It touches on some of the components of how the American system was constructed, what sort of model they had in mind. A German has entered the chat, a real German. Tobias is here. Oh, I would play something from the soundboard, but the soundboard's not working. So just pretend that I just played an Erica for you. We'll do that. So yeah, and if we happen to get through all of that and the other things that I have before it, then I got a couple of little odds and ends things that I can get into. If we do, if the tips keep coming in, the money keeps coming in, the pay piggies keep lining up at the trough, I will continue to fill the trough. There's an article from Wall Street Journal, an essay by J.D. Vance, "What I Learned About Faith and Fatherhood" from Charlie Kirk, and. Yeah, and then we're definitely not going to get to this today, but I put it in here, so we'll get to it at some point. Why we were told to hate Nickelback. It's an interesting little video, about 20 minutes long video on YouTube. And I started watching it and thought it was kind of interesting, sort of it seems kind of a little bit normie-ish view of Nickelback, why we're told to hate Nickelback. I haven't gotten far into it yet, but I thought that would be a fun thing to watch, to sit down and watch together at some point. Junksock on YouTube says, "Glad you're back on YouTube. Show going to the moon now." Well, that's the hope. That's the hope. It's going to require you guys sharing the show, interacting with it, like the streams, come comment on them in real time. Like comment in the live chat, leave a comment on it later on, turn on notifications for it. All those sorts of things, getting a big rush of engagement. Even if you're going to watch the show on Kick, or you're just going to listen to it later on when I post it out on the podcatchers, even if you're going to do that, just go interact with the YouTube channel. And if there's a big rush of engagement with it, then that'll tell the algorithm, hey, people are interested in this. Put it in front of more people. So you guys got to do your part. I will do my part. And the show will go to the moon. All right, so... very first thing, man, the background removal deal is like all over the place today. That's interesting. I wonder why. Whatever. Very first thing today. This is I'm going to use one of my little dealios here to pause the alerts for this. Because we need to sit and enjoy this. Sit and enjoy this one for a moment. Seriously? Well, I guess you know what? If this was not going to work, then just leave this up the whole time. I've seen this video on my my YouTube algorithm. It's wandered its way through a number of different times, and I have never actually played it, never actually listened to it. It's an old man sitting here with an acoustic guitar. And the title is "I Miss You Blink 182 cover space comma" from Frank Watkinson. Billy Wiggler with $50. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the $50. Didn't say anything. $50. Thank you, Billy Wiggler. Frank Watkinson, old man, apparently decided to put this up and went super massive viral.
smile from a nightmare, the shadow in the background of the morgue, the unsuspecting victim of darkness in the valley. We can live like Jack and Sally if we want, where you can always find me. And we'll have Halloween on Christmas, and in the night we'll wish this never ends. We'll wish this never ends. I miss you, I miss you. Where are you? And I'm so sorry. I cannot sleep, I cannot dream tonight. I need somebody, and always this sick, strange darkness comes creeping on, so haunting every time. And as I stared, I counted the webs from all the spiders, catching things and eating their insides, like indecision to call you and hear your voice of treason. Will you come home and stop this pain tonight? Stop this pain tonight.
I'm going to pause it just to, because I am streaming on YouTube. I want to make sure YouTube doesn't get mad and pull it down. Agitprop Master says, after we are dust, the aliens will dig up this recording, and the aliens will know we were a grand civilization. So true. So true. Superior B, were you the one who posted this? Someone posted it in the Kingpill Discord, and I was like, all right, I need to watch this. I need to watch this. Speaking of Kingpill Discord, kingpill.com.
Stop this pain. Don't waste your time on me. You're already the voice inside my head. Don't waste your time on me. You're already the voice inside my head.
Even know what possessed this man to sit down and play this, and it's amazing to me that it isn't one of the beautiful things about the algorithm. Everyone, there's lots of bad things, lots of annoying things, but this is what the algorithm is for. This is the algorithm is to take something like this from total obscurity and bring it out to everyone.
And don't waste your time on me. You're already the voice inside my head. And don't waste your time on me. You're already the voice inside my head. Don't waste your time on me. You're already the voice inside my head. Don't waste your time on me. You're already the voice inside my head. I miss you, miss you. Miss you, miss you. Miss you, miss you.
Frank Watkinson on YouTube. Just performing my songs my way. Nothing too serious. We can't all be polished professionals, but that shouldn't be a reason not to sing. Man, I want to be this guy's friend. He's got Iris by Goo Goo Dolls. Have you ever seen The Rain by CCR? White Flag, Lionel Richie. Every Time We Touch. 500 Miles. The Scientist. Oh, man. This guy does nothing but bangers. Snuff? Holy crap. All right, thank you, Superior B. You have blessed me with this man. His name is Frank Watkinson. His channel name is @VirtualGranddad. How can you blackpill? How can you blackpill in a world that has been blessed with Frank Watkinson? I want to listen to another one of these. Which one should we do? We've got Have You Ever Seen the Rain by CCR. That's his newest one. Iris by Goo Goo Dolls. White Flag by Dido. Dido. Never actually had it. Never actually heard it said. We've got Snuff. We got a lot of votes for Snuff. Oh, 2 of those are one person. 5, we got... Okay, you guys are all... Okay, the wife wins. The wife wins. We're going to do The Scientist. Okay, we'll do Iris next. This is going to turn into a Frank Watkinson appreciation show.
Come up to meet you, tell you I'm sorry.
Oh.
You don't know how lovely you are. I had to find you, tell you I need you, tell you I'll set you apart. Tell me your secrets and ask me your questions. Oh, let's go back to the start. Running in circles, coming in tails. Heads on the science apart. Nobody said it was easy. It's such a shame for us to part.
This man has seen things. He has lived a life. You don't get that quality to your voice otherwise. Amy says he's very hurt by Johnny. Yeah. This is a man who has felt things.
Nobody said it was easy. No one ever said it would be this hard. Oh, take me back to the start.
There's something magical about just a simple acoustic guitar. A simple acoustic guitar, properly tuned, softly played, is just heavenly.
I was just guessing at numbers and figures, pulling the puzzles apart. Questions of science and progress do not speak as loud as my heart. Tell me you love me, come back and hold me. I wanna rush to the start, running in circles, chasing tails. Coming back as we are. Nobody said
Suda says he's ripping everything.
Easy. Oh, it's such a shame for us to part.
Oh, Amy. Okay, Amy said that this one wasn't as good as the last one, and I picked it because of her. She's not going to mind if I don't finish it. Ninja of Spades, no, you did not miss the G Talk. We this is the very first thing I played was a video of this guy, and now we got stuck down a rabbit hole. We'll get to the G Talk in just a little bit.
Slip inside the eye of your mind. Don't you know you might find a better place to play? You said that you'd never been, but all the things that you've seen slowly fade away. And so I start a revolution from my bed. 'Cause you said the brains I had went to my head. Step outside, the summertime's in bloom. Stand up beside the fireplace. Take that look from off your face. You ain't ever gonna burn my heart out. And so Sally can wait. She knows it's too late as we're walking on by. Her soul slides away, but don't look back in anger, I heard you say.
Okay, I don't know how touchy YouTube's going to be with I know that they've reacting to things, like channels that are just dedicated to sitting and playing something and reacting to it is a huge YouTube subculture. So I'd imagine I think they've gotten more lax with it, but I've had the stream pulled down a couple of times in the middle of streaming when it's, oh, you're streaming someone else's content. There is a new monetization category where it will share monetization on something. So it may end up doing that. I think it's probably a setting that he would have to do on his end. And the artists are starting to get more in tune to this, and they recognize that somebody watching and reacting to your thing is expanding the reach of your thing. So they've gotten a lot more friendly about that. Speaking of monetization, there's a tip goal over on, or a super chat goal over on YouTube that's still sitting at 0 out of 10.
Take me to the place where you go when nobody knows if it's night or day. And please don't put your life in the hands of a rock and roll band who'll throw it all away. I'm gonna start a revolution from my bed. 'Cause you said the brains I had went to my head. Step outside, the summertime's in bloom.
This would go really, really hard over some of the videos of the boys in Ireland right now.
Stand up beside the fireplace. Take that look from off your face, 'cause you ain't ever gonna burn my heart out. And so Sally can wait. She knows it's too late as she's walking on by. My soul slides away, but don't look back in anger, I heard you say.
What's up, Boomer Slayer? Andrew Starr, thank you for the $5 super chat. Glad I am back as well.
And so Sally can wait. She knows it's too late as we're walking on by. Her soul slides away, but don't look back in anger, I heard you say. And so Sally can wait. She knows it's too late as she's walking on by. My soul slides away.
This guy should be making all of the money playing events. Like, imagine having him play for your, like a dinner or some conference or something like that. This is the perfect, just like, not background music, but like they're just kind of present. It doesn't take over your mind or your attention. You just sit and just listen to it while you're doing something.
But don't look back in anger. Don't look back in anger.
Yeah, weddings, totally.
You say. At least not today.
Okay, there's one more. He has take on me. Nothing else matters. Of course he does. Nothing else matters. There's one more that I want to see. Where did it go? Oh, I told you guys we would do Iris. Okay, two more. You get those tips in, folks. He says, another one I keep getting asked for. You should always be careful for what you wish because it might not come out as you thought it would. Interesting. He's also on Instagram, it looks like, Frank T. Watkinson. And for those degenerates who use TikTok, looks like he's over there as well. He also has a Patreon. And he's on Spotify.
And I'd give up forever to touch you, 'cause I know that you feel me right now. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't
Didn't even see the
go
dog.
home right now. And all I can taste is this moment, and all I can breathe is your life. And sooner or later it's over. I just don't wanna miss you tonight. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand.
This hits hard.
When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am.
Wouldn't it be funny if he actually is like he sits down to record these and he gets like puts himself into this mood and records these, and then he's actually like a total he I don't know, he like drives a delivery van and totally cuts it up with people. Like everyone knows him at every stop, and he's like rowdy and like yelling and honking at people while he drives.
And you can't fight the tears that ain't coming, or the moment of truth in your life, when everything feels like the movies. Yeah, you bleed just to know you're alive. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken,
Clown.
I just want you to know who I am.
Pale Morning Dude said it'd be hilarious and unnerving if he was a clown.
Don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am.
I'm going to be ensuring that the cyberbully gets this put onto EWBSX, which is a good time to mention that you guys should go download the app. Go to the website, ewbsx.app, and you can listen there. Or you can even go get some cyberbully merch at ewbsx.store.
And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am.
Ooh, leaving it hanging like that. Suda said, this dude is a splendid palate cleanser between meth bangers. I'm glad you get the brand. Okay, the one that I wanted to do, this will be the last one. Where did it go? I didn't go this far. Where did it go? What the hell happened? Oh, there it is. I'm so fascinated to see how he does this.
I still hear your voice when you sleep next to me. I still feel your touch in my dream.
Oh,
Forgive me my weakness, but I don't know why. Without you it's hard to survive. 'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling.
the mad
And
lad.
every time we kiss, I swear I could fly. Can Can't you feel my heart beat fast? I want this to last.
Oh,
Need you by my side. 'Cause every time we touch, I feel the static. And every time we kiss, I reach for the sky. Can't you hear my heart beat so? I can't let you go. Want you in my life.
this is incredible.
Your arms are my castle. Your heart is my sky. They wipe away tears that I cry. The good and the bad times, we've been through them all. You make me rise when I fall.
He's got the little his little plaques that he gets for his subscriber accomplishments in the back. This dude is making a pretty penny. 1.2 million subscribers. This dude's making solid money off of his channel.
'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling. And every time we kiss, I swear I could fly. Can't you feel my heart beat fast? I want this to last. Need you by my side. 'Cause every time we touch, I feel the static. And every time we kiss, I reach for the sky. Can't you hear my heart beat so? I can't let you go. Want you in my life. 'Cause every time we touch, I feel the static. And every time we kiss, I reach for the sky. Can't you hear my heart beat so? I can't let you go. Want you in my life.
Yeah, this is a 25 or 50 year anniversary song. Totally. Oh, what a beautiful old man. Thank you to Wit for the $47 tip through Venmo. I added it to the total. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Actually, you know what? Now that I got this up, let's see if is the soundboard working now.
Keep our motherfucking president name out your mouth. Fuck, niggas.
Did that work? Did you guys get that? Yes. Yes, excellent. Okay, good.
Never listen to a panikin.
Let's go. Come on. Get in. Let's go. Pwa.
Okay, good. I'm glad it's working. All right. You guys have heard of retard maxing? Remember when Yarvin called he wrote his essay about the dark elves and the hobbits? Well, boys, it's time for hobbit maxing.
So I'm seeing a lot of people hobbit maxing on my feed, dude, and I gotta say, like, I've kind of been waiting for this my whole life, dude. Like, 2026 is a hobbit summer officially, dude. Like, I'm gonna be wearing only earth tones, no shoes, deleting copious pints. This whole summer is just about, like, getting outside and just getting like that with Mama Nate, dude, you know? And, like, maybe, like, a little
Nate.
lighthearted tomfoolery here and there, and just general kicking back, dude. When in doubt, dude, just do as Bilbo does. Dude,
Tomfoolery. A Tom Bombadil reference. Mama Nate. I'm going to use that. I got to use that from now on. I can't. That's one that's just going straight into the vault. Mama Nate. Mama Nate, bro. Like if a hobbit found out about surfing. Yeah. This dude's a vibe. Student said dude's got the hobbitest fucking nose on earth. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay. Cars for Kids. You guys know Cars for Kids, right? I don't need to play the jingle. You guys already know the jingle. You're already singing it in your head right now. K-A-R-S, Cars for Kids. Cars for Kids has been banned from advertising in California as it has been deemed deceptive by a judge for helping exclusively Orthodox Jewish kids in the New York and New Jersey areas, despite having 8-year-old actors of all races singing their jingle. The Cars for Kids Chief Operating Officer, Esty Landau, testified that the charity's primary function was to fund URA, which is dedicated to Jewish heritage summer camps in New York and New Jersey. Cars for Kids. Every single one of us has been subjected to this atrocity. When you used to be stuck on the radio, you'd have to just listen to the radio, and it would come on like 5 times an hour. Just wanted to drive into a ditch. Yeah. This organization existed for to fund Jewish heritage summer camps. She also said that while 25% of the charity's revenue comes from California, there are no programs in the state that benefit from Cars for Kids beyond a backpack drive characterized as a branding exercise. 25% of their revenue comes from California, and the only thing that happened in California is they got a backpack drive as a branding exercise. Okay. I don't know if Amy is trying to get me to play this or if she genuinely has not heard it, but I'm going to subject you guys to it now.
1877 Cars for Kids. K-A-R-S, Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate online at carsforkids.com. That's cars with a K. Pickup is quick and easy. You'll get a vacation voucher and maximum tax deduction.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Kids in need aren't even really the target of the organization's financial efforts. Instead, those go to 17 and 18-year-olds seeking gap year trips to Israel and their families. The absolute audacity of these Jews. Incredible. They inflicted this upon all of us to fund gap year trips to Israel for 17 and 18-year-olds. Landau testified that $16.5 million even went to purchasing a building in Israel in 2022, and $437,000 was spent on Middle East outreach. I only included that to give me an opportunity to do this. I'm going to do that one more time. Legitimately, the funniest, 4 seconds of my life was the first time that I opened that. And I have to apologize. I cannot remember the name of the guy who sent that to me. He replied to me with it and laid me out flat. And never have I added something to the soundboard faster than that clip. I want to give him credit here. Let me. He said he offered it to Jim Bob first, and I can't believe Jim Bob didn't take that. But I am more than happy to take it and immediately incorporate it. It's going to be used in every single episode from here on out. Man, I've bookmarked a lot of stuff. I can't find the guy. If you're listening, you know who you are. There he is. Dustin S. at FruitBum1 on X. He said Jews when they have to tear toilet paper on the Sabbath. One more time. Oh, what a bunch of funny little people, man. Incredible, incredible scenes. Hot off the presses, the Justice Department issued an opinion today explaining that disparate impact liability under federal employment law is unconstitutional. This is an earthquake in federal civil rights law. If right, this is the foundation to overturn that pernicious regime. So this is an opinion from the Justice Department that says the EEOC's, or the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's, Title VII guidelines are unconstitutional because they contemplate liability based on disparate effects alone without regard to an employer's likely intent and pressure employers to engage in race-based decision-making. Properly understood, disparate impact liability proscribes only those practices that reflect a significant likelihood of intentional discrimination. This is like the systemic racism. Like the entire system is racist. So in hiring decisions, you have to consider, or when you're like putting forth policies regarding hiring, you have to consider how the policy might disparately impact one group, whether or not it's intended to. Tobias says, but Matt, I've been reliably informed that nothing ever happens. Yeah, I guess if it doesn't show up immediately in the For You page, then it didn't happen. The Supreme Court recently explained that we have a colorblind constitution. This opinion explains what is needed. First, business necessity is a low bar to defend against disparate impact. So what they're saying is that, and then second, causality is a high bar for plaintiffs. So going forward, businesses are not going to have to demonstrate that a policy is absolutely necessary for the business. All they're going to have to say is that this suits our business ends to have this policy. It's profitable. It gets the job done. They don't need to go above and beyond to demonstrate even further. And then for people who are suing, what they're saying is that if you want to claim damages on this, you're going to have to basically demonstrate that they did this specifically to discriminate against you or people who look like you. It can't just be like, oh, this was inconvenient to me. Plaintiffs must establish with particular evidence that there is an available alternative practice that causes less disparate impact and would be equally effective for serving the employer's valid business purpose. So to satisfactorily argue that you have been legally discriminated against, you have to provide specific, particular evidence that the company or the institution that you're suing could have done this other thing that would have had less disparate impact, but also would have effectively served their business needs. This is brilliant. Like, back to this is basically eliminating it. Because to actually successfully file a lawsuit on this basis, to actually demonstrate this, you have to like demonstrate to the business that on the business's own terms, this would have been equally satisfactory for accomplishing their business ends. Yeah, this is going to be called the compared to what clause. Yeah. You have to provide a valid alternative. You can't just say, oh, they discriminated against me, and look, there was a disparate impact because they hired fewer black people than are present in the population. The whole opinion is necessary reading, but I always appreciate a nice summation conclusion. This single paragraph helps to contextualize everything that came before. This is the final paragraph. This is written by T. Elliott Geiser, Assistant Attorney General at the Office of Legal Counsel, and Joshua J. Craddock, Deputy Assistant Attorney General from the Office of Legal Counsel. So this is the Office of Legal Counsel for the Department of Justice saying, disparate impact liability as currently interpreted by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is unconstitutional. We interpret Title VII to conform to the safeguards on disparate impact liability that the Supreme Court has indicated are constitutionally required. Setting an appropriate threshold for business necessity, requiring robust causality, thank you, Emperor Atreides, and demanding evidence of an equally effective alternative practice that causes less disparate impact are essential prerequisites to any imposition of liability. EEOC's regulations and guidance fail to incorporate these safeguards in key respects, and the validation study and affirmative action regulations conflict with Title VII and the Constitution. So the full opinion is linked here. Disparate impact is the legal term for systemic racism, structural racism, or just racism as lefties now use the term. This is the foundation of DEI and the anti-racism scam. No need to prove anyone did a bad thing, just that the system produces certain bad outcomes. Basically, the system did a bad thing, so you have to pay me. Senator Eric Schmidt, one of our great Americans, is very excited about it. Mike Lee, the most base senator, I don't know about that. But here's the EEOC chair, Andrea Lucas. She says, today in response to EEOC's request to the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel for an opinion, see how this works? You get a compliant or just a cooperative chair of the EEOC. She sends a request to the Justice Department, to the Office of Legal Counsel, and says, hey, we need a legal opinion on this. We think that we're not sure about the constitutionality of this. Please provide us a legal opinion, which gives the Department of Justice the opportunity to provide this legal opinion, which then becomes binding over, it sets a precedent that can become binding across the rest of the government as well. And she says, the EEOC is grateful for the thoughtful and insightful analysis provided by Assistant Attorney General Geiser and Deputy Assistant Attorney General Craddock regarding disparate impact under Title VII. We believe this opinion will provide clarity regarding the constitutional limits of disparate impact in employment discrimination matters. And then here's we've talked about this theme for a while. Here's another great example of it. That in many cases now, alternative media has become nothing but just pure useless slop. Just nothing productive, no quality analysis or insight or observations. It's just slop. And it's really intended to distract either the people producing it or the people consuming it. And in many cases, if you want a true representation of what's actually happening, you can just go to mainstream publications.
Welcome to the suck, homos!
Dr. Doom Guy with 10 gifted subs. Thank you, man. Oh, he got one to Mrs. Kingpilled, Presses Buttons, Tobias, Ninja of Spades. Congratulations. Patriots. Let's see if it, I don't know if it actually is going to update the tip goal. It doesn't look like it is. That's annoying. I'll give it a minute. I've seen it. Sometimes it does something wonky and then it corrects itself. So we'll see. Thank you, Dr. Doom Guy. Patriot. Dr. Doom Patriot. So in this case here, we got the New Yorker. The New Yorker says, as the U.S. prepares to celebrate its 250th birthday with programming from Trump's White House task force on celebrating America's 250th birthday, the Trump administration is sending the nation back in time. Doing what, you say? Under the direction of Stephen Miller, Trump's top domestic policy advisor, the administration has chosen to honor the sesquicentennial by keeping people from entering the United States, by restricting those who have already done so from becoming full citizens, and by trying to strip naturalized citizens of their legal status, Jonathan Blitzer writes. He continues, quote, clip this one, quote, if returning the U.S. to 1924 is the goal, the Trump administration is succeeding. End quote. You just have to go to the New Yorker and they'll tell you exactly what Donald Trump is doing right now. Read his full essay on the backward vision of the White House's immigration strategy. The administration's strategy seems to hinge on a fantasy of radical subtraction, removing the sorts of people who might dilute the country's white majority. If you import the third world, you become the third world, Stephen Miller has said.
Never listen to a panickin.
Thank you, Mr. President. More. From the Daily Wire. Scoop, the State Department has uncovered several birth tourism networks in West Africa, Europe, and North Africa, where embassies found evidence of plans to facilitate individuals traveling to the U.S. to give birth. Under guidance from the State Department to be on high alert about fraudulent documentation, U.S. embassies in West Africa, Europe, and North Africa found evidence of multiple plans to produce fraudulent documents and facilitate individuals traveling to the United States to give birth within American borders. In West Africa, a U.S. embassy uncovered, quote, a sophisticated birth tourism network, wherein more than 100 foreign nationals were using fraudulent documents to obtain visas and secure U.S. citizenship for their children. The State Department shut down this birth tourism network and revoked the foreign nationals' visas. State is also coordinating with local authorities to, quote, systematically identify and cut off any similar operations. Did you guys ever imagine that you would see the State Department working to crack down on birth tourism? Under President Trump, the State Department is defending the integrity of U.S. citizenship by ending illegal birth tourism schemes, said State Department messaging viewed by the Daily Wire. No foreigner is permitted to obtain a visitor visa for the primary purpose of acquiring U.S. citizenship for a child by giving birth in the U.S. A U.S. embassy in Europe found that more than 400 suspected birth tourism cases had occurred since 2024. In this case, investigators traced the birth tourism to at least 6 companies that were coaching applicants on what to say in their visa interviews, arranging housing, and setting up delivery plans. State again shut down the process, revoked the visas, and permanently banned, quote, several fraudsters from traveling to the United States ever again. An embassy in North Africa revoked more than 100 visas for birth tourist parents who came to the United States specifically to give birth to children who would get U.S. citizenship. State Department consular officers worked with law enforcement and used data analytics to identify the networks abusing the visa system in this case. Data analytics, huh? I wonder what sort of data analytics they're using. Palantir reference for the slow boys. A U.S. visa is a privilege, not a right, the State Department messaging said. The State Department is taking action around the world to stop this abuse, dismantle birth tourism networks, and hold accountable those who tried to scam our system. The Daily Wire previously investigated eyebrow-raising cases of birth tourism in Texas, where the state sued Diali Postpartum Care Center in Houston for, quote, exploiting birthright citizenship by unlawfully facilitating the invasion of Chinese nationals for the sole purpose of giving birth. That center is accused of facilitating the births of more than 1,000 American-born babies. 1,000 American-born babies. Chinese nationals, just through this one postpartum care center in Houston. President Donald Trump promptly signed an executive order ending birthright citizenship after taking office in January of 2025, but the order has been repeatedly paused due to legal challenges. The Supreme Court will hand down a decision on the order sometime in late June or early July. We are the only country in the world stupid enough to allow birthright citizenship, protested the president the day that the Supreme Court heard oral arguments in the case. So true, Mr. President. He attended those oral arguments in person, the first president in United States history to do so. Clearly a priority for the administration, and they're working around it as much as they can. Obviously, it'd be great if they could just go full Andrew Jackson, but even the going full Andrew Jackson thing is kind of a myth. Navy Kips is catching up, but I had to slow down the oy veys to make it funny. Yeah, maybe those won't be quite as funny for the 2X replay gang. But it's funny to me, so. Straight Buster says, see, but we're engaged in conflict with Iran, which was inevitable no matter what, so none of this matters. Chop your wiener off. Many are saying. Now, I understand why M. Night Shyamalan was so obsessed with plot twists. Why the fuck do 2/3 of videos to come out of India always end with some absurd, in this case, literal twist? Dogfight leads to the most absurd outcome you could imagine. Now, I thought I knew what was going to happen here when I saw that caption on it. I thought I knew what was going to happen, but nope. In the land of India, you never have any idea what's going to happen. First unofficial gameplay footage from Indian Simulator has been leaked. Such unfortunate phrasing, but here you go.
Hello everyone. We have worked extremely hard to create the most authentic and realistic simulation of daily life in India. We captured every raw detail, the chaos of the streets, the struggle, and the true experience. What you are about to see is the very first gameplay footage of Indian Simulator.
What is that? Gross. Ew.
Wait for it. No! Asmongold! We're testing for all of the weak-stomached in the audience. Escape the festival. Objective fail! Survive the train ride.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm adding this
Now are you a prostitute?
I'm adding this
No!
to your cash.
No!
Indians.
Trump's visa policies are causing Indians to flee the Dallas suburbs. Home prices are dropping. Sales are dropping. This is according to Indians themselves. But by all means, keep snipping your dicks off because Trump betrayed us. DEI, deport every Indian.
Since 2020, the suburbs north of Dallas have grown at a remarkable pace, helped in part by corporate relocations and South Asian workers on H-1B visas moving into the area. New housing developments, schools, and a highway expansion followed, reshaping towns like Frisco, Prosper, and Salina.
Reshaping.
But now some of the forces behind that growth are starting to shift. This story is really about how a lot of the currents that are moving through our economy right now, immigration, AI, nativism, these are things that actually have economic consequences. It can leave a hole in the economy that's difficult to fill.
It's
the
not
South Asian
difficult.
community has been impacted by Trump's ever-changing policies on H-1B visas.
Good.
There are a lot of layoffs right now, and if you're on an H-1B visa, you have basically 60 days to find another company to sponsor you. Otherwise, you have to leave or potentially face deportation. In February 2026, home prices in the heart of that growth corridor north of Dallas were down 9% in a year.
One more time.
Deportation. In February 2026, home prices in the heart of that growth corridor north of Dallas were down 9% in a year.
There you go. There's yet another thing that you can send to your retarded friends who complain that Trump is just focused on foreign policy and isn't doing anything to help young men.
That's huge when you compare that with the metro as a whole, where prices were down just 4%. Some of these towns have no other significant industry. Salina is just a growth town.
Just a growth
South
town.
Asian buyers have been really important for the housing market in this area. Home builders started building subdivision after subdivision because they thought there was an endless number of Indian-born buyers out there.
You hear that? They're just straight up stating it. Developers were just firing homes off the assembly line because they thought that there was an endless number of Indian-born buyers out there. That was their expectation. And now, according to the Indians, that has changed, and we're seeing the tangible results of that changing.
With fewer buyers, there's less revenue coming into these towns, which really need it. With growing populations, you need a lot of infrastructure, and all of that is very expensive. So when these buyers pull back, there's a real impact.
You know, it's unfortunate because I could say that, well, great, now we've got all of that supply. All that supply is there, so people can step in and take it over. Actual Americans can move into those houses. However, I worked for a moving company in the greater Seattle area. I spent a lot of time in Bellevue, Kirkland, the East Side. I have moved apartments way more than I want to think of. I have moved apartments that Indian people lived in. And I had to throw away the clothes that I was wearing. Not in every case, but in some cases. I had to throw away the clothes because they would never smell the same again, just from being in there. Some of these houses are going to have to be just torn down. Just burn them. Just burn them. The smell is like you could walk up the breezeway in some of these apartments. Walk up, it's a fucking breezeway. It literally exists so that breeze can pass through and you could smell it. Cowboys and Indians by Tret McCrick. Here's a little story about Frisco, Texas. Well, maybe I should make sure that I'm actually sharing the screen here. Sent to the Pologs. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do with all of them. We're going to convert the Indian subdivisions, the formerly H-1B occupied subdivisions, into holding camps. The Pologs. That's where all the deportees get held on their way out of the country. Arrest them, lock them in there with padlocks. Imagine all the Mexicans having to stay. Take some Mexicans and lock them into an apartment that used to be populated by Indians. Sent to the Pologs. Do you really want to get sent to the Pologs, or do you just want to download the CBP One app and get your $2,600 or whatever it is to leave?
Here's a little story about Frisco, Texas. Pretty much everybody drives a Lexus. A growing wealthy suburb just north of Dallas. $1 million houses, man, each one a palace. The Cowboys around here ain't all boots and cactus. They play pro football. Frisco's where they practice. They're America's team, the most beloved in the nation. But
damn, that's a cannon.
Growing population. Cowboys and Indians, that's who you'll find here. Cowboys and Indians, more coming every year.
My neck doesn't move that way.
Live around this town. One's a fan of football and the other is brown. Welcome to Frisco, home of Cowboys and Indians. You wake up in your mansion with a brand new neighbor. He somehow drives a Tesla, though he's foreign labor. He might be from Calcutta, maybe from Mumbai. Doesn't speak a word of English, doesn't even try. We shop at H-E-B, but change the E to 1. You like pickleball? Sorry, them courts are overrun. Some Continentals filling every Walmart job and sending every dollar back to Punjab. They're Cowboys and Indians, that's who you'll find here.
Student driver stickers.
Cowboys and Indians, more coming every year. Only two kinds of people live around this town. One's a fan of football and the other is brown. Welcome to Frisco. Cowboys and Indians.
Get the goy beef.
We ain't got no Comanches, now they all come from Delhi. They used to have feathers, now they all have a dot. The Cowboys missed the playoffs and the fans are smelly. Concession sales curry from a big metal pot. I imagine Frisco's future, though I can't be sure. It might not be a place I'd want to live anymore. Jerry Jones is kept alive inside a lab at the Star. His team of Hindu internists all call him Sar. 96 is still the Cowboys' last Super Bowl. The litter and the spelling bees are out of control. The cheerleaders were sorries every year at Diwali. Outside of City Hall's a giant statue of Cali. Cowboys and Indians, that's who you'll find here. Cowboys and Indians, more coming every year. Only two kinds of people live around this town. One's a fan of football and the other is brown. Welcome to Frisco.
I hate
we're going to kill you. We're going to give you the death penalty or kill you.
Oh, clanker banger. Now, that was the last. I was telling you about what was happening in the economy as a consequence of what the housing market as a consequence of what the Trump administration is doing. Here is from Open Door. Open Door fires all Indian employees, closes Indian operations, brings jobs back to the U.S. It's beginning. Every transnational corporation will pull out of India once their scamming and lying hits critical mass. Got what I voted for yet again. This is what he said. Kaz Najatian says, I shared this note earlier today with the entire team at Open Door. Today we begin to say goodbye to our colleagues in India as we wind down our India operations. Our customers are in America, and that's where our operational work belongs. Team, I want to update you on a change we are making to Open Door. When we launched Open Door 2.0 a few months ago, Open Door had nearly 250 employees in India. Over the last few months, some of these jobs have been relocated back to the United States. Today, we are finalizing bringing these roles closer to our customers in America and beginning the process of winding down our India-based operations. This affects all of our colleagues in India who have done meaningful work for Open Door. I am grateful for their dedication, and this decision is not a reflection of the quality of their work. Our colleagues in India are great people, and we recommend them to anyone hiring. Can we send this guy back too? Why are we making this change? Our customers are in America, and the operational work we do for them is best done close to them. For years, Open Door built a large team in India to handle manual workflows across fragmented systems. Oh, I'm sure that made it better. You know, the subtext here is Donald Trump pointed a big fucking gun at our heads and told us to. As we've unified these systems and have hired small AI native customer-facing teams throughout the US, we need all this operational work to be done in person and close to our customers. Think about what this means for the small AI native customer-facing teams. It turns out what's happening is Indians are being fired and Americans who have become proficient in AI are being hired. After today, Open Door 2.0 will be a much smaller company by headcount, but a much larger company by impact. Our people, aided by the tools we have built, will own more, build more, and have broader scope than ever before. Operationally, we'll see these major changes as a result. We will simplify, fewer tools, fewer steps, and fewer workarounds. We will build one platform so anyone at Open Door can see how a home moves through buy, reno, and sell. And we will stop stacking manual workflows on top of point solution tools. Every new process will earn its place. This is the employment part of this is interesting, but then this part here in its own right. This is the impact of the AI proliferation throughout the workforce. It's going to be smaller companies that are bigger and like outsized in impact. You're going to have more companies. You're going to have we're probably not that far away from the first sole proprietorship billionaire. So like a sole proprietor who is a billionaire. And then I think there's also a very good chance that there's going to be some bumpiness, but there's also going to be as time goes on and people iterate through this, you're also going to get a consolidation in all the different code blocks and workflows and everything that, in theory at least, could make platforms become more responsive and slicker, more efficient. Support is going to be a lot easier to work with. You can engage with something, chat with something in real time. Custom models that are built that know and are specialized to just that particular bit of software or whatever it is. And so you don't have to like get on support calls. So here's another way that the Indians are going to get their jobs yoinked, is you're not going to need like on-call agents nearly as much anymore. Once again, I say, thank you, Mr. President. HUD Secretary Turner confirms that Biden gave FHA-backed mortgages to illegals.
You know, during the Biden administration, there were over 12 million illegal aliens that came over the border, straining our housing supply and making the costs go up. And so we work with Secretary Noem at DHS, as you alluded to make sure that only American citizens are living in HUD-funded housing. We also took away FHA-backed mortgages from illegal aliens during the Biden administration. They turned a blind eye. But we're going to keep the law to make sure that these mortgages, which are backed by the taxpayer, go only to the American people. And lastly, we are mandating that every public housing authority give us a comprehensive account who's living in every unit in taxpayer HUD-funded housing.
Wow. Another, Ashley Davis, another impact of that wide-open border.
Illegals were getting 2% interest rate COVID FHA mortgages with zero down payment backed by the U.S. government. That's why we can't afford a fucking house. And I'm getting caught up right now on Tom Luongo's stuff from the last couple of weeks while I haven't been able to stay caught up. And he's been talking about Fannie and Freddie for a long time, and now he's starting to connect some dots with the FHFA guy, Bill Pulte, being appointed as acting DNI. I've got to do some more reading and listening and research to fully understand all the implications here and kind of follow what's going on, because it's getting tied up into the FISA 702 reauthorization and yet another showdown with the Senate. So, yeah, remember the thing that I played? I don't know. I think it was probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was this guy who just started looking at Act Blue and how Act Blue was engaged in massive mortgage fraud.
Welcome to the suck, homos.
Thank you for the gifted subs over on Kick, Bobby Ballbags. You're a Patriot. I see Hawaiian Zen in there. I know that guy. The more that I've been looking at this, there was that story with Act Blue and the way that they were laundering money through mortgages. Like, they would just arbitrarily change the valuation. They would like put homes on the market or sell homes back and forth between different organizations for wildly inflated amounts, taking out tons and tons of loans against. There was like $40 million worth of mortgages taken out against like a $500,000 house in California. This is one of the ways that they were acquiring monies to launder through all sorts of different vehicles. And then you've got the mortgage fraud with Lisa Cook and Adam Schiff, and I'm trying to remember, there's been a couple of others where this has been Bill Pulte. Bill Pulte was the one who was investigating all of this and referring them for prosecution. And if you think about it, like, if your goal is to financially take over, to financially strip mine and conquer another nation, then like debt that's also attached to land. So like debt that is secured or is like using real estate as a way to acquire and secure that debt and then leverage that real estate. It's like you're winning twice over, because you're taking control of the currency and you're also taking control of the literal real estate. So I think that the housing market, it's a lot more than just like, oh, there was illegals here who were like straining the market. Like, I think, yeah, I do think that that's the case, but I think that was just added on top of what was already a massive amount of prolific fraud that has been used for the purposes of money laundering. And then the illegals just kind of fit into that. And did I include this other video here? Yeah. Okay. So, let me actually just, let's do this now, and I'll get to that tweet from Trump. So this is not something that just started happening either. Like, I think it got a lot worse under Biden, but this is something that has been the case for a long time. This video is from 2017. This is an interview that I came across the timeline here from Blue Lives Matter. This is from 2017. This was a whistleblower. I can't remember now where this lady was from, but she's talking about Catholic Charities. There's a whole long interview. It's like an hour long on YouTube, but she was involved with the something associated with benefits, federal benefits for illegals. So this is back in 2017. Here she is describing what they were being told to do.
They wanted us to try to identify them in such a way that they would qualify for long-term Social Security disability. Now,
what?
Yeah. And long-term Social Security disability is for life.
Yeah.
So if they get identified and qualify for long-term Social Security disability,
She's talking about illegals. They were being coached on how to ensure that illegals could apply for and receive long-term Social Security.
Are as good as set up for life, for medical treatment.
That doesn't sound like a refugee to me. Just being honest.
Yeah.
That sounds like somebody who's planning on staying here.
Yeah,
A refugee
right.
stays until the problem's over and then goes home.
Well, that's right. And so they instructed us to try to get the client, because once they arrive here, they're now called clients.
They're called clients.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because clients pay.
Sure.
See?
Sure. I'm starting
And
to
so,
see where this is leading. Here.
So they told us that we needed to talk to the client and ask them if they'd had any headaches, recurring headaches, or any lower back problems. Excuse me, anything that would qualify them for Social Security long-term disability.
Wait. So let me get this straight. Part of the screening is supposed to be, are you sick, maimed, injured, whatever?
Right.
No. Okay, good, you can come in.
Yeah.
You get on the airplane, are you sick, maimed, injured, whatever? Yes. Good, so we can give you disability.
Correct.
What?
Yes.
This is insanity.
Yes, it is insanity.
But in order to get Social Security disability benefits, don't you need a Social Security number?
Well, we were instructed in the meeting that one of the first things we were supposed to do was sign them up for Social Security. Yeah.
Wait. This is unbelievable. So they come over here and they get a Social Security number.
Right.
They become...
And for all of you hear people talk about like the warfare state, like, oh, there's no money for the poor, but there's always money for the war. These entitlement programs dwarf war spending. War spending, actually, a huge amount of the war spending is actually like money that's being given to other. Like this is the case with Israel. It's like money that's being given to them that can only be used to buy from American companies. So they're like subsidizing American corporations, but that's still like money that's coming back into America. The entitlement spending, it dwarfs the military spending. And we're always hearing about how it's bankrupt and Social Security's a Ponzi scheme and all these different Medicaid and Medicare and all these different entitlement programs. And my entire life, we've been hearing about how they're bankrupt and how they're going to have to be ended. And this was 9 years ago. 9 years ago, it was already standard policy and had been for a while that they were bringing illegals in and putting them on Social Security. How bankrupt are these programs actually? If we remove all of the people from them who should not be on them.
Become legal.
Correct.
Are you pulling my leg?
No, I'm not. And then after we processed them for a Social Security card, then we were to process them for a U.S. passport.
No, you're not.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that's about the time I kind of decided, okay, I was done. I've heard everything I want to know. I was so angry about this, that they would receive a U.S. passport. It just, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that we were giving these people Social Security cards and U.S. passports and free medical, free housing, free food, free everything.
Yeah, but the thing that bothers me, because the food we can recoup from, and the money irritates me, but we can earn it back and we can stop the program or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But once you give somebody a Social Security number, mm-hmm. and you give them what's considered globally the golden ticket, which is a U.S. passport.
Right.
That is beyond comprehension that we're doing this.
That's right.
Do bureaucrats know this is happening?
Well, interestingly enough...
Again, 10 years ago.
No, they don't. A lot of governors are unaware of how many refugees have come into their state, where they're located, under what conditions they've arrived, and I believe this is intentional. Now, we do... Think
about the effort that's required to deport these people. You have to find them first. You have to actually locate them. Which is that's a resource-intensive process to go actually track down the people who came in at some point, aren't supposed to be here. God bless frickin' Palantir.
We do know that the governor of Texas and the governor of Tennessee have both stopped this, and they're refusing to take any more refugees. In fact, the federal government has filed a lawsuit against both of those states because they're refusing to take any more refugees.
How dare you keep your people safe?
Right.
But okay, so let's just say all the states are saying we want to pull out of this refugee resettlement program from the federal government. Then they're fine, right? There's no other way the refugees are getting in.
Well, no. The state can assert that they no longer want to receive refugees, and then the federal government says, all right. And so then they start implementing a program called the Wilson Fish program. And Wilson Fish simply bypasses the sovereignty of that state. In other words, the state no longer processes the refugees. That means, in plain English, you no longer get to know how many are coming in, when they're coming in, where they're going, how much money is being spent on them, whether they're diseased or not diseased. You've lost all control over the entire situation, and as a sovereign state, you've relinquished that.
So your options are participate, this is 2017, your options were, as a state, participate in the refugee resettlement program and have all these people brought into your state, and at least you know who they are. At least you know you have records of them. Or opt out of the refugee resettlement program, and the people are still going to come to your state, and you're just not going to know who they are.
And so Wilson Fish comes in then, and all of the federal monies that are set aside for this program bypass the state and go to third-party entities. And that would be something like Catholic Charities or Jewish Vocational Services. So it would bypass the state entirely, and they would take over the entire process of processing the refugees.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. And as a U.S. citizen and as a citizen of the sovereign state of Missouri, I am not in favor of that. I think we need to maintain our sovereignty, just like we would in the United States. You know, honestly, we are first a citizen of the state of Missouri because we are a sovereign state, and then we're a citizen of the United States of America. But our first sovereignty and citizenship is to our state.
The Wilson Fish program was established in 1984 as an amendment to the Immigration and Nationality Act. 1984, 42 years ago.
And a lot of people don't realize that. So in order for us to maintain the health and welfare and the security of our borders, we must know who's coming and going.
Yeah, you have to.
Right.
You have to. And FUNU doesn't work for me.
FUNU doesn't work for me either.
And giving them a Social Security number and a passport actually makes this problem worse, not better.
Correct.
Have we been placed at risk? I mean, you mentioned that this is an invasion. Mm-hmm. Are we at risk?
I believe we are at risk, Josh, because when they come in, we're urged to compatriate them with fellow refugees, those who have come in before them.
We're urged to create ethnic enclaves.
We are urged to locate other communities of refugees from the same country of origin, the same language, the same culture as those who are arriving. And so when they come in, and we have had Syrians come in, and we know Syrians are on the list of those 7 countries that have been banned. And so we've received Syrians here in Missouri.
Even after the ban?
Yes.
What?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yes. And so these Syrians are coming in, and we know that they are coming from a country of origin that has malevolent intent toward us as a nation.
There was a headline that was going around a couple of days ago it was some mainstream media publication that was bleeding about how I think it was for the 6th month in a row, the United States has only received white refugees. So these are refugee programs. Yeah, there's only whites coming in through refugee programs now.
And we now know they're not being vetted, and we now know that not only are they coming from a malevolent country or a country that has malevolent intent, and we now know they're not vetted, we're giving them support, and we're giving them a passport.
What name do they put on the passport if their name on the thing is FUNU?
I don't know.
Can they just pick a name?
Yeah, the answer would be yes. Yes, they can just pick a name. So on June 2nd now, so this was 9 week and a half ago, Trump posted this truce. He said, illegal immigrants and foreign fraudsters steal billions every year from the American taxpayer. As part of my administration's historic effort to end fraud and reverse mass illegal immigration, I recently signed a powerful new executive order, which will be led by the Treasury Department to stop banks, credit cards, and financial institutions from being used to facilitate human smuggling, drug trafficking, illegal immigration, and the criminal cartels who orchestrate these activities. Access to our nation's financial systems must be limited to those who have a legal right to be here and who are engaged in lawful and legitimate commerce. Bank accounts being used to enable illegal immigration or to store the welfare received by illegal aliens will be shut down, and funds will ultimately face impoundment and seizure so they can be returned to taxpayers. Now, I was a little out of the loop at the time that he announced this, that he published this truce. But I didn't hear anybody that was talking about this. Like, this executive order directs the Treasury Department to stop banks, credit cards, and financial institutions from, on the basis of preventing the facilitation of human smuggling, drug trafficking, illegal immigration, and criminal cartels. They are only allowed to let legal people access financial systems, and any bank account being used to enable illegal immigration. So this is not just the bank accounts of illegals. This would be the bank accounts of institutions, organizations, NGOs, businesses, whatever. This seems to have pretty broad latitude for anybody who's engaged in the process of facilitating illegal immigration or to store welfare received by illegal aliens. How much of this illegal alien welfare do you think is actually being used to, like, it's not actually going to the people themselves? Because I'll bet you a bunch of these illegal aliens are actually fake. They're not. The person never entered the country. They just created like an entry in a database that says there's a person here, and then they've got operations where they're securing federal benefits and the right to vote for these fake people, these ghost immigrants. So any of that money, the bank accounts used to store the welfare received by illegal aliens, will be shut down, and funds will face impoundment and seizure. Trust Plansar says, fatal blow to the doomers, so it has to be ignored. Right. It is not ludicrous, but profoundly dangerous that any illegal alien can simply present a blue state driver's license or Biden border document and have unrestricted access to the U.S. financial system. This also sends a clear message to the anti-ICE rioters that your violent disruptions are only strengthening our resolve. My executive order will also allow us to stop billions in leaving our country and all manner of criminal activity. It has been said this measure we are taking is the most effective means of reversing Biden's border invasion. We shall soon find out. Incredible. Nothing ever happens, huh? The most effective means of reversing Biden's border invasion. Well, yeah. If you as an illegal alien, if you're not going to be able to access bank accounts, and in fact, if you do have bank accounts, they're liable to be shut down and all the assets in them seized. And anybody who's engaged in facilitating illegal immigration now has to face the fact that they could wake up to the Treasury Department seizing their bank accounts any day. That's a pretty big disincentive. Yet another day of me getting what I voted for. All right, let's see. What do we got here next? So this is the article I was telling you guys about, the one from Adrian Vermeule. So the background here was this clip that was going around about a month ago from Mike Pence. Our nation is not founded on a religion. It's not based on a common culture, even. Not Mike Pence. There's a Freudian slip. Not Mike Pence. Neil Gorsuch. It's not based on a common culture, even, or heritage. We're a creedal nation, says Neil Gorsuch.
The Declaration of Independence had three great ideas in it. That all of us are equal. That each of us has inalienable rights given to us by God, not government. And that we have the right to rule ourselves. Our nation is not founded on a religion. It's not based on a common culture even, or heritage. It's based on those ideas. We're a creedal nation. What was Europe like at the time? It was monarchies. The notion that all people are created equal. No, there are kings and serfs. The notion that you have rights from God, from your creator. No, everything came from government. And self-rule certainly was a very dangerous proposition in the world of the Declaration. Right? You're right. We take it as the air we breathe. Like fish in the water don't even realize. But those things were dangerous and inevitable, and they were traitors for declaring them. The Declaration...
Tobias says, I still live in a monarchy. That is, I'm not super jealous of most Europeans, but, Tobias... Yes, that is a monarchy I could live in. Straight Buster says this guy speaks in Tucker font. Oh, man. President Trump is not happy with Neil Gorsuch. Chris Rufo said, thought experiment. Imagine if, in an instant, you liquidated the American people and replaced them with an equal number of non-Western, non-Christian, and non-English-speaking peoples. Would the resulting nation still be America? He says, to answer in the affirmative, you would have to believe that America is a ship of Theseus, and that all human beings from around the world, whatever nation, culture, language, or religion, are perfectly interchangeable like simple wooden planks on the bottom of a boat. And Paul Rossi here said, the ethnos-creedal thing is a false dichotomy. To claim they're unrelated is ludicrous, as is the claim that you can't cleave to the creed unless you have the ethnos. They're interdependent. And Adrian Vermeule quote tweeted that and said, a link to my attempt by means of a classical legal metaphor to explain how to integrate both the heritage view and the creedal view. Non-heritage Americans are like children adopted into a family, with consequent moral and legal obligations of filial piety and reverence, the duty to honor and uphold the legacy, specific traditions, and heritage of that family, not merely creedal abstractions. Please support the stream, folks. There is a tip goal. Actually, the tip goal is probably expired by now over on YouTube. But you can send a super chat. Here, I'll start another goal. Do this. All right, and then also tips.kingpill.com if you want to send it directly to your boy. The $14.88 and the $88 tips should trigger a special little alert. I hope it works. Immigration is Adoption, Filial Piety in the American Family by Adrian Vermeule. He wrote this last December. Our public sphere is consumed with debates between so-called creedal Americans on the one hand and so-called heritage Americans on the other. I do not mean to say that these terms are accurate or the ones I would choose, but they have become widely used and widely recognized, and one must, in the end, speak the language that others use. Nor do the two positions yet have canonical formulations, so we will have to do the best we can with broad outlines, while noting the ambiguities of each view. The debate concerns, in essence, the nature of citizenship. From this basic disagreement, other questions flow. For creedal Americans, citizenship is adherence to a core set of abstract commitments, to the Constitution and constitutionalism, to liberty, to equality, to meritocracy, that, in principle, any immigrant from any culture or faith might subscribe to, so long as respect for the equal rights of others are maintained. On this view, there is nothing contrary to justice, although it may be in bad taste, when an immigrant like Ilhan Omar comes to the United States, becomes a naturalized citizen, and, so long as she obeys the positive law and respects the legal liberty of others, rails against the evils of America, its ancestral history, and its substantive heritage. For heritage Americans, by contrast, the nation is a real, organic, pre-legal entity, a natural and historical people bearing a particular Christian culture with particular folkways and traditions. They point to the language of the Constitution's preamble, in which we the people adopt the Constitution, quote, for ourselves and our posterity, end quote, not merely for anyone who may come along. Bad arguments proliferate in this debate. My favorite, just as a connoisseur of silliness, I'm going to have to, that's a good one. Connoisseur of silliness, is the argument that heritage Americans want, in effect, to impose, quote, titles of nobility. In its distilled form, the point of the heritage American argument, right or wrong, is precisely the opposite. It is that the whole body of the citizen people ought to consist of heritage Americans, without internal differentiations of privilege. A radically Republican, rather than aristocratic view. Thus, each camp is on its strongest ground when pointing out the flaws of the other view and its absurd consequences. Creedal Americans ask whether the heritage American view really is strictly based on descent by blood from some family existing at some point of reference in the past, such as the founding era. Heritage Americans are ambiguous or divided on this point. Creedal Americans point out, plausibly, that it seems absurd to say that a necessary condition of Americanness is biological descent from, for example, anyone present in the United States in, say, 1776. Is a Chinese American whose ancestors arrived in the 1850s and fought in the Civil War, and whose family has lived here ever since, not fully American? What about those Hispanic Americans whose ancestors lived for many centuries in lands of the Spanish Empire that were incorporated into the United States in the 19th or early 20th centuries? On the other hand, heritage Americans argue with great force that adherence to a creed of abstract universalist commitments cannot be either a necessary or sufficient condition of Americanness. On the heritage view, it cannot be a sufficient condition because passing a citizenship test and even swearing allegiance to the Constitution, at least the Constitution as interpreted by universalist liberalism, does not by itself an American make, except in the thinnest positive law sense. So we'll read that one more time. So he says this sentence here is within the context of the Constitution as interpreted by universalist liberalism. So he's questioning that interpretation. He says, on the heritage view, it cannot be a sufficient condition. The idea that adherence to a creed of abstract universalist commitments cannot be a sufficient condition because just passing a citizenship test or even swearing allegiance to the Constitution doesn't make you an American, except for just like strictly in terms of positive law. You might be able to say, yes, you have an American passport or something, but it doesn't actually make you qualify as an American in reality.
No more paperwork, Americans. I can't handle the smell.
Thank you, Duffhead, for the $88 tip. It did work. Thank goodness. Hopefully you guys were able to see Steven walking behind me. Go back and listen again if you wanted to catch that, or watch what happens behind me. Thank you, Duff. There must in some deeper way be enculturation that adheres the immigrant to the concrete nation and its actually existing culture, to its way of life and its story as a people. And there's an interesting analogy here that someone could dig into more if they really wanted to, between the apologies to the Protestants for what I'm about to say. I know we love you. We love you in spite of your condition. You might want to plug your ears for this one. There is an interesting analogy to be made between the Protestant conception of the church and the creedal conception of the nation. I'll just leave that there for now. Likewise, creedal commitment cannot be a necessary condition of Americanness because any number of heritage Americans have in one way or another denied the supposed creed. Yet even on the creedal view, they remain wayward children of America rather than not really being Americans at all. So if you have people who are heritage Americans, but they reject the Constitution or they say America is an evil nation that should not exist, this is a case where the heritage American position would actually say, no, they still are Americans, even if they reject America. And the creedal Americans, on the other hand, don't say that those people are not Americans just because they reject the creed. Which is kind of interesting. You have the creedal Americans who say, well, this is a creedal nation. But then you're like, okay, well, then let's just denaturalize all of the people who reject the creed. And they'd be like, no. No one seriously proposes to somehow expel all natural-born citizens who deny the supposed creed, were that even legally possible, or even to denaturalize all naturalized citizens who do so. The creedal logic is not even taken seriously by its own proponents. So, like, if Neil Gorsuch was a serious person, then him talking about how we're a creedal nation, the natural follow-on from that would be, okay, well then anybody who does not swear allegiance to the creed and through their own behavior, they swear their allegiance to the creed, they can be reported for not upholding their oath, and they can be denaturalized if they don't uphold their oath. That would be the true distillation of the creedal position. But the creedalists aren't gonna go for that. They wouldn't say we're gonna go denaturalize, I don't know, we can't even get him to denaturalize Ilhan Omar, much less Eric Swalwell. Yeah, Tobias Ruck says creedalism is basically once saved, always saved. Yeah, that's kind of that's directionally where I was going. Yeah. And I don't think that you get the idea of the propositional nation without the Protestant Reformation. I think the propositional nation notion is a natural downstream effect of the Protestant Reformation. Ambitiously, I want to offer an analogy from classical law that provides a third way, neither the creedal view nor the heritage view, although retaining some of the best elements of both. In the existing discourse, a third way is offered by Aquinas' admonition that, quote, when any foreigners wished to be admitted entirely to their fellowship and mode of worship, a certain order was observed. For they were not at once admitted to citizenship, just as it was law with some nations that no one was deemed a citizen except after 2 or 3 generations. The reason for this was that if foreigners were allowed to meddle with the affairs of a nation as soon as they settled down in its midst... Jeff! Replay Gang represent! Thank you for the $20, sir. We love our Replay Gang patriots. The reason for this, so the reason why with some nations no one was deemed a citizen except after 2 or 3 generations was that if foreigners were allowed to meddle with the affairs of a nation as soon as they settled down in its midst, many dangers might occur, since the foreigners, not yet having the common good firmly at heart, might attempt something hurtful to the people. End quote. By the way, make sure you go, if we do hit the tip goal here today, make sure you go over to forum.kingpill.com. Sign up. Just give me your... something to call you and a way to contact you. And if we hit the tip goal, then I will do a drawing. And the winner of that drawing, that will be based on the people who signed up at forum.kingpill.com, forum.kingpill.com, the winner will get 10% of the total tip amount today, no matter what it winds up at. You get 10% of that sent to them in the form of a digital gift card of your choice. So go to forum.kingpill.com and sign up, and go to tips.kingpill.com and send a tip or send a super chat or gift a sub, all those things. Now, back to Vermeule. So he finishes quoting Aquinas, and he says, what I suggest is different. Although broadly in the spirit of Aquinas' 2 or 3 generations test, insofar as it emphasizes the duties rather than the rights of immigrants who become citizens, it is derived not from theological principles, but from a civil law analogy, an analogy to the Roman law of adoption, emphasizing the duties rather than the rights of immigrants. Yeah, this is a lot of talk about the rights of the immigrants, but not so much about the duties of immigrants. And this is downstream from talking about the rights of citizens and not the duties of citizens. After all, inclusion within our posterity may ordinarily arise not only through natural descent, but through legal adoption. In brief, I suggest that the legal immigrant should understand himself as an adopted son of a natural and concretely existing family, the American family, and this brings with it particular duties of filial piety and reverence for that particular family and for its thick heritage and traditions. So thick versus thin. Thick being like taking a broad view of the heritage and traditions and not just stripping it down to like its barest components. Our laws, as made, interpreted, and applied, should reflect that understanding as well. Because it is an analogy, not an identity, what I propose is not a set of legal rules to be directly mapped from Roman law into the American legal system. Rather, it is a suggestion that the Roman law of adoption rested on a set of discernible principles of legal justice and political morality that represent the spirit of the law's bearing on immigration and citizenship in America, a time-honored mode of legal interpretation here, albeit not an originalist mode. So it's not something that is necessarily... it doesn't necessarily flow directly from the original conception of the Constitution, but the principles that informed that law are very similar. They are derivative of the spirit of the laws that formed immigration and citizenship in America. Such principles should affect the interpretation of actually existing legal texts, rules, and doctrines. They should be understood as the soul of our law of citizenship. Needless to say, this does not answer or even purport to speak to all questions bearing on immigration. I do not speak here, for example, to the enforcement of the immigration laws against illegal immigrants or to prospective questions of policy about exactly how much legal immigration, if any, there should be and from where. All I address is the question, what principles of legal justice and political duty apply under existing law to the immigrant who is already here legally? So the enforcement of immigration laws against illegal immigrants is a separate issue, And how many legal immigrants should be allowed is its own separate issue. He's talking about what is going to be the heart and soul of immigration law from which all other determinations are made. And that's applicable to immigrants who are here, and then it wouldn't be relevant to the number of legal immigrants who would be permitted in the future, but it would bear upon those potentially permissible legal immigrants in the future. To that end, I suggest a conceptual model for understanding the role and obligations of that immigrant, what justice, classically understood, requires of him. The Roman law bearing on adoption was complex to say the least, and for my purposes here, I will omit certain details and historical texture that a specialist would mention. There was a basic distinction between adoption and adrogation, the former applying to adopted persons who were alieni iuris, or, under the legal power of another paterfamilias, transferring them to a new household, whereas the latter applied to those sui iuris. Man, my mouth is not used to making those sounds in that order. Iuris. Sui iuris. Okay, I got to read this again. So there was a basic distinction between adoption and adrogation. Adrogation is a word I don't know, so we're going to look it up. No, not adoration. Adrogation. Okay, it's just giving me adoration. What is adrogation? A specialized form of adoption in Roman law. It applied exclusively to individuals who were independent, meaning they were their own masters and not subject to another person's paternal power. Interesting. Because the adoptee was already independent, adrogation effectively dissolved their original family tie and merged their patrimony, their property and wealth, into the adopter's family. Originally, this required a vote by the Roman people. In later times, it was executed via an imperial decree. The term comes from the Latin adrogare, or to ask, reflecting the formal questions the magistrate put to the adopting and adopted parties to ensure the transfer of rights was agreeable. To protect family lines and estates, Roman law placed severe restrictions on adrogation. So the adopter could not have natural, legitimate children. The adopting father generally had to be at least 60 years old, assumed to be past the age of procreation, and magistrates carefully scrutinized these petitions to ensure the adrogator wasn't simply seeking to absorb the minor's estate. Interesting. So the person who was adopting basically had to be an old man, because they were like, if you're going to adopt someone, we want you to be adopting them just because you can't have your own children. And then we also want to make sure that this isn't just like maybe a kid who's inheriting some massive estate because he lost his parents, and you don't care about the kid, you just want the estate. There we go. Today I learned. Okay, so there's adoption and there's adrogation. So the former applied to adopted persons who were under the legal power of another paterfamilias, which transferred them to a new household, whereas the latter applied to those who were not in the power of another household. The two forms of adoption required somewhat different processes by the imperial period, the former being effected by application to a magistrate, the latter by imperial rescript. In certain cases, the law required an inquiry into the motives or at least stated reasons for the adoption or abrogation. A recurring concern of the law, for example, is whether the adrogator is capable of having his own children. The thought being that if he is, that method is to be preferred, a thought with obvious analogical relevance to those who minimize concerns over the declining national birth rate, while advocating increased immigration as a solution for that very problem. That's very interesting. So if he's capable of having his own children, that's a preferred way of doing it. So there's legal precedent within the Roman legal tradition. There's legal precedent for considering this very matter. And the law is concerned about the effect of adoption or adrogation on existing children of the family whose inheritance would thereby be diluted, a point with obvious analogical relevance to the current debate, taking inheritance in its broadest sense. A basic point common to both adoption and adrogation, however, was that an adopted child was, for most, not all purposes, treated by the law as equivalent to a legitimate biological child. Quoting, an adoptive child is, in most respects, in the same position, as regards the father, as a natural child born in lawful wedlock. As such, the adopted or abrogated person acceded not only to rights, but to certain particular natural and legal duties. crucially including substantive and special duties to the particular natural family into which he was adopted, over and above the general legal duties that applied to all Roman citizens. Most fundamentally and most simply put, the adopted child, like the natural and legitimate child, owed certain duties of filial pietas, or piety, reverentia, or reverence, and obsequium, or obedience, to the parents of the family, and more broadly, a duty of respect, loyalty, and support to the family, and to the gens, or the clan, from which the family derived. So, once a person was adopted, they were treated as, for the sakes of inheritance and for obligations of obedience and reverence and piety, like they had to, they were given the rights or the privileges of being in that family, but they also had the duties of being a child. So they would be treated as if they were a natural born child, but they were required to behave, to respect, and were held to the same standard as a natural born child. As a scholar of Roman family law puts it, quote, children also were bound by filial duty and respect not to abuse or malign their parents. To treat a parent disrespectfully merited punishment at the hands of Roman authorities. Based. This is one big problem. Like, the loss of the conception of, like, duty to family, and this even being something that's legally enforced, your duties to your family, that being diluted out of the American legal tradition is also has tied directly into the dilution of citizenship as a concept, because citizenship is just just an outworking of the family. You're a citizen. If you're a citizen, you're a part of the body of the nation. The nation is just an extrapolated family. So a citizen is like a child of the polity. Proper behavior towards parents included obsequium, the obedience owed by children to parents, and freedmen to patrons, and reverentia, or submissive respect. Furthermore, it was a clear breach of pietas for a child to take his or her parents to court. So if you sued your parents, you were breaching the expectation of piety with respect to your family. These background principles, although not necessarily enforceable in and of themselves in the imperial period, in part because the law disfavored litigation between parents and children, informed the creation and interpretation of enforceable duties such as alimenta, the reciprocal duty of parents and children to support one another. As the code puts it, in virtue of a rescript of Antoninus Pius, quote, it is but just that children should relieve the necessities of their relatives in the ascending line. End quote. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, it means that your first obligation would be to relieve the necessities of your parents, and once you've done that, then their parents, because them likewise their responsibility is first and foremost to their parents. And so if you're attending to the necessities of your parents, you're actually freeing up bandwidth for them to attend to their parents in the case that's necessary. Pietas, reverentia, and obsequium also had broader quasi-religious connotations bearing on duty to maintain the ancestral rites and family cult, or the sacra privata, especially in earlier periods, although over time these tended to become more secular and material. So there was the expectation that each individual family line would have their own traditions, and you had a legal duty to perpetuate your family traditions, though that got watered down. By the imperial period, these principles created no direct legal duty as such, but filial pietas, reverentia, and obsequium were very much taken to be background principles indirectly informing the interpretation and application of the law. So, there's some things that what's the law that if a metric becomes the goal in itself, then it ceases to be a useful metric. There's some of these things are like proper to a nation is that you just have an innate understanding of these things, and that being part of the nation implies that you are just naturally given to following these prescriptions for behavior. And like once you actually have to write them down, once you actually have to write the law down, then you're actually starting to dilute the effectiveness of the law. Like the fact that you have to write it down and record it somewhere to hold people to is an evidence that the law is beginning to depart from the people. The child, natural or adopted, was understood as having an obligation or expectation, both moral and at least indirectly legal, to maintain the ancestral legacy in both a material and moral sense. The analogy then is that the naturalized citizen immigrant is like an adopted child of the American family with corresponding duties. Like the Roman adoptee or aggregatee, the citizen immigrant owes, fundamentally, special duties of filial piety and reverence to the American family, to the actually existing concrete American family, its ancestors and traditions, not merely to abstractions of universal principle common to all, such as respect for legality and liberty. I think this is an important observation as well for the, there's an air of cynicism now for it's seen as like boomer to, to like value the founding and the founding principles and the originating values of the country, and then a lot of the different traditions and stuff that have been typically associated with patriotism. But I think it's, even if some of those things are boomer, even if they have kind of lost some of their luster, I think there's a direct analog here to your obligation to maintain your own family line and your obligation to preserve those traditions that are associated with your nation. Even if it is boomer to like speak with reverence or hold the founding fathers in some kind of high regard, or like saluting the flag or standing up and putting your hand over your heart for the national anthem, like some of these sorts of things, I've come around to being like no, even if it is boomer slop, even if some of it has been mythologized kind of in a boomer slop sort of way, it's still part of the American people. And if you're an American, you actually have an obligation to preserve your country's traditions, even the ones that you don't necessarily value personally yourself. The adopted child of the American family ought, in both a moral sense and in the sense of respect for legal justice and the spirit of the law, to uphold, reverence, and maintain the substantive traditions and ancestral cult of that concrete, actually existing family with its particular traditions and history. These special and particular duties to the American family and its traditions run well beyond mere observance of universalist principles. Rather, the immigrant should celebrate the particular heritage, political and civil and religious, of the American family, not because he's descended from that family by blood, but because he has made a child of that family by law in its richest sense, the embodiment of general legal justice in the concrete order of a polity. He should be an enthusiastic participant in the thick civic rituals of a culturally Christian nation, with its own distinctive customs and history. He should celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas and the 4th of July. He should remember the fallen who gave their blood for the nation on Memorial Day, and those who were willing to do so on Veterans Day. He should honor the great presidents who shaped the conduct of our nation, its great legislators and judges. He must not say, even to himself, all of that history happened before I got here. It has nothing to do with me and mine. We're free to wield our rights however we like, free to do as we like within the minimum boundaries of the positive law. In contrast to Ilhan Omar and her kind, he must not assume that because he has the right legal status in the thin positive law sense, he's free to spew venom at the American ancestors who built the very framework of society and legality that now protects his speech, his livelihood, and his very life. For the immigrant to denigrate the heritage, culture, and history of the very nation that opened its doors to him, to neglect or to belittle the ancestral cult of the very family that has granted him the privilege of being counted by the law as their child, is in a substantive sense for the immigrant to self-denaturalize. He thereby forfeits the privilege of being treated as though he is a natural child of the American family. Such principles of legal justice can and should make up the spirit that informs the interpretation of our laws, such as the provision that establishes penalties for anyone who, quote, knowingly procures or attempts to procure, contrary to law, the naturalization of any person, including the immigrant himself, or the provision allowing denaturalization of those who, within 5 years of naturalization, quote, become a member of or affiliated with any organization, membership in, or affiliation with which, at the time of naturalization, would have precluded such person from naturalization. because such membership or affiliation is, quote, prima facie evidence that such person was not attached to the principles of the Constitution of the United States and was not well disposed to the good order and happiness of the United States at the time of naturalization. When interpreting such provisions, executive officers and judges ought not read them in a cramped and strictly positivist way, but in a way that captures the point and spirit of citizenship as adoption. So this is kind of what he was alluding to at the beginning, where he's like, there's these other separate issues, and this doesn't pertain to them directly, but it's like the background framing that should inform decisions that are made with respect to immigration. So if you're an immigrant who comes here, is accepted here, and then does not participate enthusiastically in the thick civic rituals, is not celebrating the holidays, is actively going out of your way to diminish the American values, American spirit, American founding, American military, American businesses, yada, 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 then you are performatively engaged in self-denaturalization, and the law should reflect that. Just like if you went and joined the Abolish the American Government Party. Unlike the heritage view, at least in its purest form, the model of adoption I have offered from the principles of Roman law does not say that the right sort of descent by blood is necessary to be fully American. But unlike the pure form of the creedal view, this model also understands that it may be harmful for a natural family to take in too many adopted children at once, a concern analogous to Roman scrutiny of aggregations that might unduly burden an existing household. This statute here admonishes against aggregating several children. Most of all, it understands that the adopted child of the American family who appoints himself a mere critic or even a political enemy of the traditions, the culture, the very substance of that family and its history, has violated the filial obligations of pietas and reverentia, and is thus no true American at all. In this sense, our law and its interpretation should reflect what being an American really means. Very interesting. Vermeulen is an integralist, and he happens to be at least moderately influential on J.D. Vance. So interesting to see someone like that talking in these sorts of ways. What are you saying here in the chat? Yeah, Goodhart's Law. That's what I was trying to think of. Goodhart's Law. Whoops. Yeah, I accidentally deleted the message, but I didn't mean to. Goodhart's Law. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. It warns that whenever, this was coined by a British economist, Charles Goodhart, in 1975, it warns that whenever a metric is used to reward performance, people will inevitably manipulate the system to achieve that specific metric, thereby defeating its original purpose. When you incentivize a metric, people optimize for the score rather than the actual outcome. This often leads to the cobra effect, a classic tale from colonial India where the government offered a bounty for dead cobras to reduce the snake population. Instead, entrepreneurial citizens started breeding cobras just to kill them and collect the reward. Yeah, so you can get, not only could you get, have it stop being a bad measure, but you can actually get the opposite of the intended goal. Witt says they played the national anthem before the state trap shooting competition. It was special to see hundreds of young and old men stand to attention with their hearts covered. Yeah. It always made me uncomfortable when I was wandering in my ANCAP wilderness. It always made me uncomfortable that I would get those twinges of cynicism during the national anthem at like a sporting event or something. Because when I grew up, I just was enraptured. I loved it. I absolutely loved the performance of the national anthem at a sporting event. And so I didn't like the fact that it made me feel that it gave me the kind of the impulse to be cynical about something like that. I forgot I was gonna open this up. Kate sent this over earlier in the subject of the housing fraud. Let's see here. Yeah, right here. Wall Street Apes says, whoa, massive Democrats Act Blue money laundering scam uncovered. Let's take a look at this. Democrats are pretending to buy $200,000 houses and creating $200 million mortgages and then laundering the money through wire transfers. Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. This isn't uncommon. They're found all over the nation, ran through Act Blue. Magic mortgages. Let's imagine you buy a house for $200,000 and it's funded by one of the North American banks. We'll just say Wells Fargo. Please don't sue me. So this is, okay, these are quotes from the from this video. So let's watch this. Speed it up. 1 1/4. Yeah.
Tell me, magic mortgages. What in the world is this, Senator?
So we have this architecture that when you buy a house, generally it goes into escrow. You have a title company that handles the escrow, and there are a number of documents that go into it. So just at a broad scale, let's imagine you buy a house. Grant Stinchfield buys a house for $200,000, and it's funded by one of the North American banks. We'll just say Wells Fargo. Please don't sue me. All the records, including the mortgage, the deed of trust, the Alta insurance policy, all of those records are recorded in the county record.
So this is an Arizona state senator, Senator Mark Fincham.
Then just a few minutes later, your $200,000 house suddenly has a $200 million magic mortgage that comes through. It's nothing but a wire that goes through the title company. There's no lender involved because it's a hard money loan, what they call a cash hard money loan. But because it goes through a title company, there's no notation of who the lender is. And it goes on through the system. Now, what's interesting is, and this is what caught our attention, these are Act Blue officers, corporate officers. Once we found one, it led to another and another and another and another. So we have them all over the nation. And this is just one small fragment of the human map. You leave this digital dust, if you will. This is one small fragment.
You have all of these gigantic financial transactions. Now the question becomes, how do they funnel that back into the campaigns? Is that the small dollar donations that we see that show up?
It's like a hard money loan is just like you have a lender, a private lender who's just going to provide you cash. So ordinarily, if you were trying to get a private loan for a house, like say you're someone who wants to like rent houses out or whatever, you're doing renovations and trying to rent the house out, and you need to get a loan for it. Perhaps you can't qualify for various types of commercial loans, or you've got bad credit or whatever. So you have someone, a hard money lender, who will come in and will personally give you the money. You run it through the title company just to ensure you protect both sides of the transaction. They'll just give you the money, and then they're just on the record as just a private money lender. You have no idea who it was, just a PML. And so ordinarily, if you were like, yeah, give me $2 million or $200 million for my $200,000 house, the person's not going to do that. Unless this is the entire setup, is that I'm just going to go in, I just need a house. And I just happen to know this guy who's going to give me the money for it. How much is he going to give me? $200 million. Because the whole purpose of this is to make that money disappear effectively. And then it can be laundered and used for any purposes.
Up at some lady's house and she's donated to Act Blue 52 times and she knows nothing about it?
Well, that's just one small aspect of it. So James O'Keefe, got to give that guy credit with the whole smurfing piece that he's done. And we got to be careful about what we're calling this. This is a research project because we're not licensed investigators. We want to make sure that people understand that this money is going into organizations this architecture was set up by Barack Obama to spread cash around the country and to put money into political action committees, into non-government organizations, to fund candidates, to set up the whole architecture for a public relations machine, read basically propaganda machine, to promote the whole concept that we're a team. We've got great funding. It's all behind us. So here in Arizona, for example, the Arizona Democrat Party, not more than about 5 weeks ago, it replaced their chairman because their fundraising is 25% of what it was last year. Well, where did all the donors go? So what we're talking about here, Grant, is wholesale fraud, where the money is distributed by Act Blue officers. And now, because we're not federal law enforcement, we don't know exactly where it went. But that's why we've turned it over to U.S. attorneys.
And that brings me to the real news, I guess, is that you have handed this over to the Department of Justice. What has been their response of taking the evidence? We'll call it evidence because, nothing's been proven yet. I'd like to get Act Blue's response on all of this. But you turn over this evidence to DOJ. What do they say to you?
We are now engaged in conversations with a number of U.S. attorneys former U.S. attorneys, lawyers who are not yet confirmed U.S. attorneys. So there is great interest. I've got to believe that Attorney General Pam Bondi has forwarded this out to the folks that are the financial crimes folks. And by the way, it wasn't just the AG. We also sent it to the IRS Criminal Division and to the.
Okay, so this report's a little outdated, but I don't think that makes it not relevant here because these sorts of things necessarily are going to move slowly. But I think it does take on even more intrigue that Pulte is now the acting DNI. And the thing about him being acting is the Senate wants to make all these moves. They're gonna block his nomination, but they can't. They literally don't have the ability to block his nomination. They can make life hard on him or something, but they can't block his nomination because Trump can appoint anyone he wants to acting, and they get to be the acting, whatever that position is, for 210 days. Up to 210 days. Until and unless an actual permanent nominee is accepted for it. So, and if he nominates someone to be the new DNI on a permanent basis, and that person's nomination is rejected, then the 210-day clock starts over again. So if they don't want Pulte, if they are really, really concerned about what Pulte might do as acting DNI, then Trump can nominate anybody else. And if they do not vote for whoever else he nominates, then Pulte's clock starts over again.
And to the FBI. So Director Patel also has this.
Very, very interesting. So Democrats have homes that aren't very expensive. They take out massive loans against these homes. This happens around election cycles. Now they have tons of money for their campaigns. Literally the only way that the Democrat Party exists is through crime and fraud. The Democrat Party is the largest organized criminal organization in the country. Denaturalize all Democrats. I think that's the moderate position. Denaturalize Democrats, strip their citizenship from them, and you can willingly abandon the Democrat Party. You can turn in your voter registration. You can leave the party, and you don't have to be denaturalized then. But you're getting an opportunity. You don't do it, then yoink. All right. Well, I think I'm going to call it a day because I need to get to bed here within the next hour or so, and I haven't really seen the family at all. So we'll consider that another lab in the books. I've got a few more things to try to fix and figure out why they're not working before tomorrow. I got to do this one more time. Thank you, everyone, for turning up and watching. Thank you for the contributions to the Erickson cause. Reminder that you can always go to tips.kingpill.com and send a tip. I'll make sure you get your credit for it during the stream, whenever the next stream happens. You can also go to @kingpilled on both Cash App and Venmo. Also, buy me a coffee. There's lots of ways you can support. I've got many more things that I want to do, things I want to add, and I'd like to stream more often. I just got myself some foot pedals. See? It's probably not going to show up, but yeah, that kind of works. I got myself some foot pedals here so that sometimes I could just sit down and do like a gaming stream or something like that. And I could play a game and then like have a podcast going, and just because I'll just be listening to it. So I might as well just sit here and stream and play a video game and listen to it. And I've got the pedals that I can use to play, pause, rewind, etc. So I can keep playing while I'm talking and commenting on it. We'll get some gaming streams going here in the near future. And then, of course, the interview show is going to come as well. And I got to get the new little stream deck set up. So many great things to come. Thank you guys for listening. Please do, once again, no matter where you're watching or where you're listening to this, go over to the YouTube channel, like the stream. Amy was telling me the other day that you can actually, you click the button like you're going to share it, and you don't actually have to share it. I mean, if you'd like, I would like it if you would actually share it, but even if you don't actually share it, just clicking the button to share it, the algorithm reacts to that as if you actually tried to share it. So go do that. Leave a comment on it. Like it. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn the notifications on. And then please do keep watching on Kick as well. And if you want to maybe gift a sub or something like that, do it over on Kick. She says interact in any way on all platforms, but definitely click and copy the link so you can trick it. Also, go join the King Pilled Discord, kingpilled.com. Tomorrow, right? What day is today? Today's Thursday, right? Yeah, tomorrow evening we will have a voice chat in the King Pilled Discord in the evening, and it's going to be during the World Cup, the United States first World Cup match. So there's a little something for us to entertain ourselves with during the Discord voice chat. So go to kingpilled.com, sign up for that, and I will catch you guys on the next Labe. Until then, I leave you with Hulk.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough.